Hi everyone, this is Andre and this is another weekly report from Toggl. This time I have a lot of new changes for you. I'm changing the format to something that you can also use for your own week if you have this weekly kind of like self-evaluation of your last week. So hopefully this will be more useful for you starting from this episode. So let's get right into it. My last week was definitely productive, and even when I look at my numbers in Toggl, so if there were 162 hours in the last week and I slept 46 hours, 20 minutes out of it, so it means that I effectively had 116 hours to work with. And if only 7 hours out of that I spent on doing something really not valuable, it means I worked 109 hours. So 116, so that means 94% efficiency, which to me is definitely a great number. Part of it also depends on what you consider productive and what not, but I'll get more into the details later. The important thing is also for me just like my own personal feeling, and that is that last week was really good. So for the second question, this one is inspired by Kondo. That's a lady that I first heard about her when I was doing one episode of my localization podcast where I talk about her localization strategy. And then I watched one of the episodes. The format was not for me, but one of the things that kind of like stuck with my mind was that she was asking the people if certain things in their house bring them joy. So I think that's something that we can also apply to how we live our lives and the activities that we do. So the next thing that I wanted to do is like quickly go through the tasks where I spent most of the time last week and just think about if those tasks and activities bring me joy. So that's kind of like the emotional benefit of what I'm doing. So this is the last week, group by client and then by project, and these are the hours. So first of all, I spend most of the time on sleeping, which I'm very happy about. So sleep, of course, definitely is important. It does bring me joy because like if I lack sleep, my whole day is like shitty. Like I cannot do anything and I'm definitely not very happy about it. So yeah. The second activity where I spend most of the time as expected is my job, because I still do my full-time job. It was pretty much the standard 40 hours. Well, I have 38 hours there, but there's just a little discrepancy. But last week especially was pretty good. I even felt last week, I really felt good at my work, what I was doing, because like it was mainly doing product management and talking to people about their needs. And I was also doing something new when it comes to documentation. So I really feel that even my last week at my job, where I spent so many time, did bring me joy because I was doing something more creative, and something where I really feel like it's something that I wanna be doing further down the road in my career. So then we have creating. So I'm very happy that this is on the third place. I spent 15 hours on creating, which basically means creating the content just like this one. So as I mentioned, besides the Toggl weekly reports, I also do a localization podcast. So this is the breakdown. So I was also working on a new book review, which is the 0 to 1, that I will be probably posting very soon. So creating, of course, that's something, actually, let's break it down a little bit. Because the editing part is kind of good for me, especially now that I have a new laptop and everything is working pretty smoothly and fast. But I really do think like my main joy that I have is to try new ideas or have ideas like how to improve the content that I'm already doing, and then the actual execution, especially if the execution kind of is like a repetitive from what I'm already used to, then that part doesn't bring me that much joy. And that's the good thing. That's the reason why I started actually breaking down these the whole creative category into smaller pieces, is because I'm also thinking that sooner rather than later I should probably find some editor, so someone that I can just dump the ideas on them, and I can kind of like separate myself from the content creation process, so that I also have this independent view, because like if I'm creating the content and I'm editing everything and I don't review my content, then I feel like I'm just like releasing like the first draft to you guys. So and editing, I really liked editing from the start. I still do like it because it's like creative work, but as I mentioned, a lot of the editing that I'm doing right now does feel kind of like a repetitive routine for me. So that part doesn't bring me joy, but I already do have stuff in my backlog where basically I'll try to outsource this thing that doesn't bring me that much joy. So that was a lot of talking for the creating part. Admin, so I have a lot of time spent on admin, but mostly it's because there's like 11 hours for stream admin, and for stream admin this is related to me getting the new laptop, which I'm using right now for editing, and I'm also streaming. So that's something that I really had to do, and I really like to kind of like play with the new hardware that I have. Also, by the way, I just got a new Lightning, so yeah, that was also fun to play with new stuff. So that definitely brings me joy as well. So not much I would change there. Learning part. So I pretty much enjoy all the learning. Even though like podcast listening, like when I listen to Tim Ferriss, it's not like learning per se. It's not like I take on Udemy course and I just try to learn something. It's more about like being in the presence of successful people, which kind of like fuels my mindset, and keeps me going, keeps me motivated. And I do enjoy Tim Ferriss's podcast and most of the guests that come there, so not much to change here. Survival. So this is a part which really, that's the reason why I started to call it survival, is that it kind of like makes me get through life. So I have to go to work. That's basically me dressing up and showering and preparing the meals for the work. I do have to cook. Well, technically I don't. Well, okay, let's talk about it later. Personal hygiene, I still have to shower and stuff like that. Cleaning, yeah, I do have to clean up. I don't have a maid yet. So all these things, I would definitely consider them in a category that doesn't bring me joy. Even cooking, like, I do like to cook, but it's more like if it's like cooking like for some special occasion, which I don't. I just cook for myself. So once again, is similar thing to editing. It's kind of like yes, it's important, but the process itself has become like a routine for me, so it definitely doesn't bring me joy. So what are the options? So getting ready to work is kind of like try to reduce the commute and maybe work from home more times. I tried this before in the past with my previous boss, so maybe I'll try to do it again. Cooking. So this is kind of like a rational versus emotional benefit. So although it's not like the best use of my time, I still try to listen to either Tim Ferriss or I do Udemy course while I'm cooking. at the same time it gives me like a lot of value for the week, because like I save time because I don't have to cook, and also it's like definitely beneficial for my health because I have everything under control. I know what I'm eating, I know the exact amount of calories, the macros, and all those nice things. So there's definitely a huge benefit on that side. Personal hygiene, well, it doesn't bring me joy to brush my teeth, but maybe that's just my perspective, that I need to be more present, and like the spiritual people talk about, finding joy in every movement with your toothbrush and feeling the sensations and things like that. I'm not there yet. And cleaning, yeah, so these are definitely things that, and it's a lot. If you think about it, it's like 12 hours. That's a lot. That's like 1.5 work days. So yeah, I would say survival, no joy. Health. So health, I did spend 9 hours, which is quite a lot. Wait, what? How is it possible? Okay, yeah, so I spent 9 health towards my health last week. And these are things that kind of bring me joy. I like going to the pool, I like doing the workout, but also at the same time I try to listen to something more useful. PT exercises, they don't bring me joy, but the benefits are definitely important for me. So technically, from the long-term perspective, they do bring me joy, because like if I eventually get rid of all my issues and all the imbalances and all the weakness on my left side, I will be very, very happy. And then doctor, so that was few sessions that I had with the dentist yesterday. It was just yesterday on Friday with a dentist and an osteopath. So yeah, that's again about keeping and fixing my health. Then we get to no value. Of course, no value actually does bring me joy. Watching Twitch and watching YouTube from time to time, but it's no value. And then we have this couple of few last things. Maybe I should, I need to shorten this because I'm talking too much again. So question number 3, do these activities bring a long-term benefit? This one is inspired by the book that I just finished, and that is 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel. And in his book, he basically mentioned that all of us are investors because we are basically investing our time in what we're doing. So the same way as VCs and angel investors invest in startups because they're betting and they're hoping that there will be a long-term value and long-term growth for the startup, we should do the same with our time. So we should not focus too much on like short-term goals, but we should really put more time into things that bring us long-term value. So another thing, this is kind of like the exact opposite of what Marie Kondo is. Questioning whether something brings you joy. So that's really kind of like a happiness and like the immediate value, like emotional value. This one is really practical and long-term planning for your life. So I think this is these are two good questions for you to think about when you are evaluating your last week or like your last month or last year, because ideally you want to do something that brings you joy and it also gives you a long-term value, or it works towards your long-term goals. So going back to my report, and let's try to do it from the top. So sleep, of course, is very important. There's definitely long-term value in having good sleep. Job, so this is a little bit tricky. So for me, as I mentioned before, what I'm doing, especially let's focus on last week. What I was doing last week definitely plays to my long-term goals because it also made me happy. It brought me joy, and that is working more towards product management and design and working with people. So that's something that definitely gives me like new skills or experience that I can use later on. But at the same time, yeah, as you can see, like I'm a little bit hesitant about the way that I say this. And the reason for that is that a lot of these things are kind of like yes, I do something that I want to be doing in the future, but it's more like at this point it's kind of like a repetitive process. It's kind of like what I was pointing at before. It's like it's a little bit of routine, though. Like this routine is still challenging for me. It's not like I'm doing something special. And of course, if you think about it, long-term value, I'm still working for someone. So like anything that I create is like basically their ownership, their IP. So yeah, like when it comes to the skills and practicing a certain skill, yeah, there is a long-term value. When it comes to me building a long-term value for myself and for my life, then no. On the contrary, creating is definitely something that is long-term value, and the reason why I still stuck to what I started doing, I think like 5 months ago or even 6 months ago when I posted my first YouTube video. So this is something that definitely plays a lot to my long-term goals, and it's something that I want to be focusing on more with live streaming. So admin part, that's kind of like that's really like administration. So I don't think it's like a long-term goal to do more admin, but it's something that kind of like supports the creative part. So it's kind of like a necessary part of it. Learning, always, any learning is a long-term value, so there's no doubt about it. When it comes to survival, that's funny. There is, of course, a long-term value because I'll survive and I won't die, you know, so, and I won't stink. But yeah, it's not something that moves me forward. Health, definitely long-term value. Something I cannot underestimate. I don't want to underestimate the health. So I still do go to the gym 3 times a week, and I should do a little bit more. And before the year ends, I should make use of all my extended benefits and visit more practitioners. So no value, that of course there's no value, so that we don't even need to discuss it. Community for me is like a community engagement on social media, which is kind of related to creating, and that like a long-term value. So you can think about it as networking or building connections. Relax, so this is a new category that I just introduced recently, and sometimes when I feel that I've had enough, I just want to at least listen to music. So I think most of it, yeah, it's listening to music. Long-term value in relax, definitely. Like I don't want to go full hardcore because I think when I was evaluating my week the week before, the last time when I was doing this weekly report, I think I said that I need to relax a little bit to balance it, because I don't want to be pretty much, other than sleeping, just fully engaged like in all the learning and creating and doing my job. Finally, relationships, yikes. 2 hours. So relationships means like meeting someone or going out outside of like the regular engagements with people, whether it's work or whether it's, I don't know, work lunch, or whether it's chatting with someone or something like that. So it really should be like personal and something that doesn't fall into the other categories. so it's not much. I did say, I think at some point, that the relationships are definitely important for me, even during Landmark. I think I mentioned it, but right now I do feel like creating is just so much higher on my priority list, and maybe that's where I'm doing that's where I'm making a mistake. Maybe I should try to balance it a little bit more. Although, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so that was question number 3. Question number 4 is what is missing in my weekly routine. And if you have seen any previous Toggl weekly report, you'll know the answer. It's definitely dancing. So it's been several weeks that I haven't practiced at all. And I do love dancing so much, especially like once I really get into it. So yeah, for me, it's kind of like not doing anything in this area is like a big mistake. So yeah, I would like to see a lot more time spent on dancing. I'm not sure where I would take it out of. Maybe the creating part, or maybe the learning, right? Maybe the learning. Maybe I need to learn less and just dance more. So yeah, that's something that I definitely wanna change. Other than the usual, sleeping, working out, is number 1, go fucking dance somewhere. I do have this thing on my to-do list, is to check out steezy.com, and they have like a 1-month free trial, and they have all these instructional videos for dancing. So that's something that I can do at home, and I was practicing at home before even recording myself. So at least I have to do it once. I just need to do it once to kind of like start rebuilding the momentum. So that's thing number 1. And for next week, which technically started already now, is because there's a holiday on Monday in Canada, I want to start working on the WordPress. So that's something that plays towards my creative bucket, and it's something that is important for my long-term goals, especially what I want to do when it comes to live streaming content and basically live stream work around localization. So I want to at least start doing something on Monday. So now it's Saturday. So yeah, those are my plans for next week. And finally, here is the summary of the numbers for the last week from Toggl.